Welcome back into Buccaneers Total Access, brought to you by Advent Health. First half of the show, we had head coach Todd Bowles. Now I'm so excited to be joined by Run Game Coordinator and outside linebackers Coach Larry Foote. Coach, thanks so much for being with us.
Oh, thanks for having me. Anytime.
So, big picture takeaways for you now that you've had a day to let this process and go over the film with everybody. What stands out to you guys?
Defensively, we're giving up big plays, and that's starting the last few weeks that really bit us in the butt. And we got to correct that. We're at the point of the season where adversity, she's here. And guys got to respond. We've been here, a lot of our core guys who've been here. We got a couple guys been here 7 years since we got here. So they know how to respond, and I'm looking forward to it.
And then I know Josh Allen is a tough one to face, even if you do everything exactly right. I know 3 rushing touchdowns for him. That's what makes him so tough. Is he's such a dual threat guy. So what happened on those, and just what makes him so challenging to go against?
Normally, when the quarterback keeps the ball, they have an extra guy in the box, and that's what makes it challenging. And like you mentioned, he's big, he's strong, he's physical, and he's not a typical quarterback. But they got us, had a couple good plays, and, came up a little short.
I know it's probably not maybe as surprising to not necessarily get a sack against him because he can be so hard to bring down. So I'll ask, overall, pressure-wise, how did you feel? Because sacks, I know, are only one measure of it. Of course, I know you would have liked more of those, but what would you say is kind of the way you felt about pressure overall, whether or not it's sacks and then also just QB pressures?
Well, going into the game, we didn't want him to dominate us with his legs, and he made a couple plays. The disappointing part, we wanted to match him, and we came up a little short. We had some free runners, we had some good design blitzes, and he beat us a couple times. And as a former player, those missed sacks, missed opportunity, they're going to stick with you for a lifetime. But, he made plays. We knew that coming in. We just didn't want his feet and to take over the game, and it didn't for the most part.
I know that now the defense, you guys as a team, are tied for the league lead in games with multiple takeaways with 6. And I know that's an area that's really been a focus of Coach Bowles and the defense overall. And they've come from all over the place. I mean, even an Anthony Nelson pick 6 and, forced fumbles, interceptions, all of that. So what do you feel like as a defense has been the main thing that has led to talking about it to becoming a reality this year on getting more takeaways?
We're just seeing it out on the practice field, led by our captain, Levante David. I know he probably got 1,000 forced fumbles.
Yeah, he's got 1,000 of everything on his stat sheet, yeah.
He's been playing long enough,
yeah.
So. No, but we always talk about it, and we see guys like Winfield. He does a good job just leading by example, punching at the ball. And we preach it all the time, be ball conscious, and that's the difference between winning and losing.
We're talking to Larry Foote, the run game coordinator and outside linebackers coach. James Cook, also another formidable guy to go against. So what is it like to prepare for him? And then just the fact that you have a running back that can do so much paired with a quarterback that can do so much with his legs, how does that make it even more challenging to try to just prepare for a running back?
Well, you got to start when he's behind center. When the quarterback's underneath center and the running back is at the dot position, you got to think heavy run. And as you see, James Cook I think he's leading the league in rushing. It's a big challenge, a lot of speed. The unique thing about studying for him last week, he know how to find it. You know what I mean by that? We'll say like he floats back there, and he can slide with the best of them, another running back terminology. But everybody got to be disciplined, and the corner's got to be prepared. He has great speed, so he'll challenge anybody on the field. Taking out the back door, taking out the front door. So all 11 guys on the field, you got to contain that guy.
And how did you feel about the way you guys handled the run game overall, whether it be Josh Allen or outside of it, looking at the run game in that game last night, especially knowing you held James Cook to a lot less than he typically gets?
They did great. I think they were leading the league in rushing. I think we only gave up 40-something yards. So, we were proud of that. But, they hit us with some big plays in the pass game.
I know now you guys have been missing Hassan for a little bit as well. What are some of the biggest things that when he is out that you lose as a defense?
Just his athleticism. Nobody on our team, especially at that position, has what he has. And we can do a lot of things with him, move him off the ball and create some mismatches for the offenses. But hopefully we get him back.
I know also what were some of the things he was doing particularly well before the injury for you guys?
Just the leadership, what he brings on the sideline and talking to the guys. He does a great job in the meeting rooms, just teaching those little guys. I'm at the young guys.
I will make sure they all hear that you called them the little guys.
I treat them like that, but just giving them guys tips and keys and how to rush certain guys. He's been in this league for a long time and played against a lot of guys we're going against.
What are some of the things that you're still working on with him, and how interesting is that for you as a coach when you do have a guy who has been around so long, has done so much, and the way that you still try to make sure you're helping them continue to improve and get to another level?
Just be a pro. I point to them guys, hey, follow their lead. Just get out there a little early, put extra study time in, and if you want to make it in this league. The good thing about Hassan, he reminds those guys, you got to develop in this league. A lot of times when you're a young guy, it takes years to develop your pass rush. Yaya's still young. Braswell, those guys got to keep their confidence and just keep chipping away. And one day you're going to look up and you're going to be a force in this league.
So outside linebacker, in your mind especially, is not one where it's kind of an either you have it or you don't, that it's a continually evolving thing, that it could be years before someone's really at kind of their peak at that position in particular. Yeah,
you got to learn how to rush. And there's an instinct. There's just a feel that you got to develop. You got to get stronger, faster, of course, but you got to learn how to rush. I done seen just Anthony Nelson. He was a rookie when we first got here in 19. And just how he evolved. So I always challenge them guys, just keep getting better, keep showing up every day.
I know that you also had a relationship with Hassan prior to him coming here, that he's even cited as being part of why he wanted to come here, was already having that with you. What do you remember about when you first got to know him and those early days of Hassan, and just what he's had to go through in his career, like you said, of the development and even different positions, different defenses, and all the things he's gone through?
Well, Hassan played outside backer in college, and I told him when I went to go scout him, I worked him out up at Temple University, I told him, do not play off the ball linebacker. You never played it. It's going to be a whole different world. He didn't listen. He was humble. He was a humble young rookie. He said, whatever you guys want, I would do it.
Which is great.
And he didn't listen to me. So 4 years in the league, when he was on his way out, they finally moved him to his natural spot, and he become all-pro.
That's crazy.
So I always throw that over.
Just a few I told you so is coming from you.
Just listen to me when I tell you something. I was right once, I'll be right again. But no, it was amazing having him. And literally I had to teach him just how to stand off the ball. And, go figure, in the NFL, you got to teach a first-round draft pick how to line up and play middle linebacker.
Yeah, but it's so different.
But it was fun. He's always been a great athlete. You ask any coach in this league, give me an athletic guy, I'll make it work.
I like that. And what is the biggest part of those two things, of because even just what everybody gets called of defensive end or outside linebacker, inside linebacker, what is it that is so different about those two positions, but then you have been able to coach both of those positions?
Well, there's so much thinking you got to do when you're off the ball. A lot of communication that's required of you if you play off the ball, as far as giving checks and talking to the DBs and also to the front. And you got to think real fast, and it can change real quick. For example, if I'm covering a number 2 receiver, I might have number 3 receiver that becomes my number 2 receiver. So 2-3 exchange that we like to say. But you got to think fast. You're off the ball. You're not, on the island quite like a DB, but they motion them running backs out there, you can be. And I grew up playing in it. When I played in Pittsburgh, we was all in one room. It wasn't an outside linebacker coach and inside back in those days. So I got to learn how to coach it and play it by just listening to the coach. And
then this particular defense, I feel like we always hear about all the things that Bowles defense requires of guys, that it is, there's a lot going on, and it can be kind of complicated of what he's asking different guys to do. And I have heard that outside linebacker in particular is one of the positions that can take a while for guys to really learn and evolve, because it can be a little different than what is expected of outside linebackers, maybe even what they did in college or things like that. So what are the things that this defense requires of them that is a little bit maybe unique, that you end up working on guys with to understand, now being in Bowles' system, what you have to do at that role?
Well, we're going to require you to play like an off-the-ball linebacker at times. And, our philosophy, the more you can do, the better. And we get excited. We demand that you got to think, you got to study. You got to go home and study your playbook, also study your opponent. But that's just, he likes to create different looks for the offenses. So you got to stay on your P's and Q's.
That's very true. All right, we are going to take a quick break here on Buccaneers Total Access, brought to you by Advent Health. We're talking to Run Game Coordinator and outside linebackers Coach Larry Foote. This is Buccaneers Radio. Welcome back into Buccaneers Total Access, brought to you by Advent Health. We are talking to Run Game Coordinator and outside linebackers Coach Larry Foote. Tell me a little bit about Yaya this year, of what stands out of what he's been doing well.
He's growing. He's growing. Our challenge, we want to beat his sack number last year. I think he's right at it. He's developing, becoming a force in the league. I really challenge him with off the ball, dropping and improving in that, and he has. But just that next step, every day I want to challenge him. He's on the surface of becoming one of them guys. I'm ready for him to kick the door down.
I like that. So, I think for fans, it's very easy to just use sacks to evaluate an outside linebacker. That's an easy thing that we can all see happen, and especially when we don't always know what they're being asked to do in other situations. What, in your mind, is the way that you evaluate your guys, and how many different factors are there? And is it even different per guy in your room of, is sacks always kind of the most important thing? Is it not? How do you tend to try to evaluate?
Well, individually it is, as far as contract.
Right.
At the end of the day,
sacks pay the bills.
Sacks pay the bills, and it's a negotiation thing between teams and players. But I look for just your juice level, your energy. Are you affecting the quarterback? And you think that comes natural, but mentally you got to be dialed in every play, giving it your all. And he has been. He hustles on the practice field. I challenge him from that standpoint. And at the end of the day, all the top pass rushers, they have that element that they just wired, Energizer Bunny, Tasmanian Devil, stuff like that. And so I really challenge him. You're a big man. Why don't you moving like a little man? And all over the place. And he's answered the call so far.
What are his biggest strengths that he brings, separate maybe even from anybody else on the team?
Well, he's a ginormous guy, as you know, and he's fast.
Yeah.
And, you don't find those guys every day. So anytime you watch him, you can see him running guys down. He ran Josh Allen down the other day, and he's a beast.
Where would you say his biggest areas of growth have been since his rookie year?
Just overall, just his instincts. And, I'm still challenging him to that next level. Like, okay, you feel the offense lineman sitting this, what you should have you done? Look at the formation. Is it run or pass? Believe it or not, those offenses, they give away some keys to tell you what they're doing. And I expect him to know those things. And you got to get a jump on it. And that'll help you get sacks. And playing well, no running pass. I really challenge him, like, look at the formation and tell me what's about to happen. And, kind of my off the ball background, but if he can develop that, it'll get, make the sacks go up and it'll be easier for him.
And then I know Anthony Nelson, that Saints game was wild. Tell me what you think led to him just having such a dominant performance that night, and what it was like for you to be watching that during the game.
That was his first start. I was happy for him. I'm a big fan of Anthony Nelson. I've seen him grow from no hair on his face. Now he looks like a grizzly bear. He wasn't married. Now he's married with 2 kids. So it was, I know his family well. I was at his wedding in Iowa, believe it or not. Took me about 8 flights to get there, but I got there. No, but I was happy for him, and just an amazing game. He had a career day in one game, so I need to see it again. Yeah,
that was crazy. And take us through particularly how impressive for this position, for his build and size to do what he did on the pick 6 play. Tell us how impressive that was.
Well, that's his basketball background. You can tell, you can see it grabbing the ball off the rim and got it at the highest point. And it was crazy. He ran the quarterback over, and it was just a surreal moment. It was sweet, and it was legendary, really.
Yeah, that was amazing. What is his role typically when, like everybody's healthy? What is it that he provides to the room? And I feel like Bowles always describes him as sort of steady Eddie.
Right.
How important is that role, and what does he play when, again, everyone is healthy?
It's important for him because he plays a lot of teams too. In the last few weeks, he's been still on teams and starting full time.
It's a lot.
That just speaks to his character. But I always pump him up with the young guys because he literally, he helped us put 2 banners up in that indoor. Both for Carolina game last year. He caused the fumble a couple years before. I think Tom Brady's last year. He got the strip sack. The Mike Evans game, we came back and beat him over there in Raymond James. So he made some key plays for us throughout his career.
Yeah, it really does seem like he has such a nose for the big play, especially per snap that he's in there, that some of those really important moments. How about Chris Braswell? Tell me what some of his biggest strengths are.
He's a big guy. Also, just like Yaya, he has a great burst. You see Braswell development. He didn't play a lot of ball behind a lot of first rounders at Alabama. So he played his senior year, and he's getting better. This is year 2. He got to learn how to rush the passer, like I talked about earlier. But his instincts are getting better. What I'm most proud about him, last year he busted a lot. A lot of defense playing in the Todd Bowles defense. And this year he's on his assignments. He's making plays. Me personally, I thought it was his best game of the year this past Sunday against Buffalo.
Wow. What about this game, or what makes you say that about this particular thing? What did he do or not do that makes you say that?
You seen his energy. You seen his hustle. He made a lot of tackles. I think he had one big tackle for loss. He fit the run well. He had a couple good rushes. He did a good job. He only had 16 snaps, but he made an impact on it, and he also played full-time on special teams.
When you talk about learning to pass rush as a young person in this, is it typically like actually learning more moves? Is it learning to read the offense a little bit more? What are some of the elements that make up having to learn that?
It's a combination. I tell guys in the offseason, you should get one move, and you should, patent it and perfect it. I've seen Anthony Nelson does it, the famous cross chop that a lot of guys do in the league. He didn't have that his rookie year, and he developed that move.
That's cool.
You got to know who you are. What type of rusher am I? Am I a guy that has that ability? I can do a lot of moves, or I'm a power guy. But it's still an instinct. How is the guy blocking you? Did you get a good get off? And did you know his running pass so you could play? You could have, especially on first and second down, could you rush the pass as opposed to you got to slow down and play the run? So it's just getting a good feel, and his arrow is definitely pointing in the right direction.
We're talking to Run Game Coordinator and outside linebacker coach Larry Foote. I know that you were incredibly excited about David Walker, as we all were, as a human and as a player. Tell me what you feel like he could have been and what you saw from him during this offseason program that we should be excited about for next year, feeling like it's almost like we're going to get a bonus draft pick next year, when we get to watch him. So what were the things that had you so excited?
Well, I played with a guy in Pittsburgh, James Harrison. They're about the same height, they're about 5'9", probably a little taller. But I
was going to say, I was like, wait a minute.
I tell him he's about 5'9", call him sawed off. But I just loved this film when I was watching this film this offseason over at Central Arkansas. And just as he's a dog, he's a dog. He's a little short dude, big legs, but he plays the game the right way, violent. And he's quick. Even the week at the Senior Bowl, those guys weren't too big for him. And I was excited. He was mixing it up with our guys, and unfortunately had the knee injury.
Yep, that's so tough. As a coach now, as he goes through the rehab and having to know that, I can't imagine for him of excitement for your rookie year and then you miss out. How do you try to make sure you're there for him and you incorporate him and to make sure that he doesn't lose out on this essentially redshirt year so that he can be as ready as possible for next year?
Well, I'm always asking him questions. You got to be in a meeting room, and the main thing is mentally, you want to get those reps. Learn from the other guys. You need to study tape like you're playing. And shame on you if you're not taking advantage of it. So I'll just really be on them, like make sure you focus and you're developing, mentally. And when you get out there, you're ready to go.
I know Marquise Watts, he was a long shot to be on the team. He was a tryout guy, didn't come the more traditional route that you see as drafted or even undrafted guy like that. What was it back then that made you guys say this is someone that we need to take a chance on and keep around, even just coming in as a tryout guy?
He was sort of like David. He's probably 5'10", David's 5'9". but he got a lot of natural ability. He's quick, explosive. He had a lot of sacks coming out of Charlotte. University of Charlotte, and he has a good feel for rushing the passer. He has a great feel for rushing the passer, and he's been getting better. So I'm excited. I know he's coming back this week. I want to see what he does for us.
What would be the things that he would need to maybe work on or improve on to see the field a little bit more? What would be those next progressing steps that you're working on with him?
Well, all backups, first and foremost, you need to make your money on teams. You got to dominate. And when your opportunity come on defense, you take advantage of it. But right now, them guys should dominate on teams. He should be excited about that. If you get a hat on Sunday and you get to run down there and kick off, you need to take advantage of it. But any opportunity, he got to be ready to go when you get them guys a blow and take advantage. You know, I told them guys this morning, that's your walking, breathing resume. Each snap counts, and everybody's watching.
And then going against our offensive line in the offseason and training camp and a little bit in practice, I mean, we have some really elite guys there. Of course, there's been just a wild amount of injuries on that front. But when they're facing, the starters and the healthy guys, how much does that help your guys? And what have you seen about, especially going against guys like Tristan, how does that help prepare your group?
It really takes our confidence because they win more majority of the time. And I tell my guys that, and I laugh at them. But Luke and Tristan, they was getting at us this camp. I was a little disappointed, but like you said, good experience because those are two of the best tackles in the league. But I expect going forward that we start winning more than losing against them guys.
I like it. I like the healthy competition in practice. Yeah. All right, we got one more segment here on Buccaneers Total Access, brought to you by Advent Health. We're talking to Run Game Coordinator and outside linebacker Coach Larry Foote. This is Buccaneers Radio. Welcome back into Buccaneers Total Access, brought to you by Advent Health. We are talking to Run Game Coordinator and outside linebacker Coach Larry Foote. So first of all, tell me what this Run Game Coordinator title means, how you work with Bowles on that. I know we also have a pass game coordinator, so what does that end up entailing for all of you guys and how you try to work together on the game plan?
Well, when we start game planning, I look at all the runs from, the whole year, and I just try to break down, here are the top runs. These would be the runs that give us problems. This front will help this, or this call will be good against that. But main thing I present to the coaches and I present to the players, like, this is what we got to stop and we got to look out for and give them some tips.
I know that the run game defense is, for Bowles, such a huge priority and something that's been an area of strength ever since he got here. So what are the things that you feel like you guys do really well on your run defense? And if it's a game where you hold them really well, what does that typically mean you guys did right?
Well, first foremost, we have Vita Vea, so that
very helpful. That could just be the whole answer. We have Vita Vea up front.
No, but everybody buys in. It starts with our leaders, with Levante, with Jamil Dean, and guys who've been here, Winfield. Everybody got to buy in. Corner, some offenses where they come out and say, look, we're going to make your corners tackle. We're going to block everybody but the corners. So that week, those guys got to show up for us. But it's our expectation that we expect all them guys. That's our standard. Everybody got to tackle. Everybody got to fit the run. And that's why we've been so good at it.
I know that was a question about Kalijah when he was getting drafted, knew he'd be a good pass rusher, but how's he going to be in the run game? And it was so sad to lose him this year for both things, but how impressed have you been with his ability to contribute in the run game when that was the one question about him coming in?
Oh, he's from Miami Northwestern. He had no problem.
Should have known. What was I asking?
He had no problem. Now, speaking of another 5'9" guy, he's probably about 5'8". But
I want you to be the one that does our roster on our website with the heights.
No, this was year 3. I was disappointed when he went down because you see he was about to have an explosive year. Seeing just the leadership role that he took. He was, I know them guys were flying all over the place in the offseason, working out and training together, going to some pass specialist guys, but they stayed together and he got all those guys, he organized all those guys to be together. So I was happy for that because he was taking that leadership role for us. Sucks that he got hurt.
Yeah, it really does. We're talking to Run Game Coordinator and outside linebacker Coach Larry Foote. How about the just defensive line overall? We talked about Vito, the level he's playing at this year, and then the other guys that have had to step in or step up with Kalijah being out, and we're now Kalijah and then 2 Elijahs. I'm sure makes your job fun in the meeting rooms, thinking about who you're talking about. So what have you seen from the rest of the D-line as well?
Everybody's getting better. Young Roberts in there starting. Logan, them guys are holding up.
I know Elijah Roberts to me has been really interesting to watch, of knowing especially that he's kind of had to adjust his game a bit from what he did in college to now. So what have you seen of how he's been able to make that adjustment, play a little bit more traditional D-line roles compared to more of the edge rusher?
Start with Charlie Strong, doing a great job with him. The whole room, we coaching him up. Rookie, that's hard to play defensive end, all of a sudden in the National Football League, tell you move inside. And, you got to add a little weight, and, that's a whole nother mentally you got to develop instincts-wise, how to take on blocks, and a lot more physical in there. But he's been doing a good job for us so far.
I know that in general you have to game plan for a lot of very talented running backs. We've already faced a bunch of them this year. In your mind, who are some of the toughest guys to game plan for or just to bring down?
It seems like every week it's just another. We don't get a break. We don't get a break. Of course, we started the season off with probably the most dynamic running back in the game over in Atlanta. So every week, getting ready for the Rams. Both those guys are similar and they're hard to tackle. I was just writing in my notes, we got to wrap up because these guys break a lot of tackles. And they're short. They do a good job hiding behind blockers. So it's going to be another challenge for us.
Yeah, that Rams offense has been humming this year. Their record shows it as well. So what do you feel like is going to be the key defensively to facing their offense at this point?
We got to make more plays than them. At the end of the day, it's a veteran quarterback. Stafford, he's been doing it for many years. And we got to slow them guys down. They got weapons outside. We mentioned they can run the ball. McVay, he's still cooking. And it's going to be a big challenge. I'm not surprised that they're 8-2. We got to go out there in their place, and I'm looking forward to the challenge.
Yeah, tell me about Matthew Stafford and the level he's playing at this year after, again, such a long, successful career, but it does feel like this season is reaching almost peak form.
All right. I mean, just telling how old he is. His rookie year, I played with him. My year in Detroit, he was a rookie when we drafted him. And he's getting old. He's getting old. That was 2009. Funny. He's still humming it. But he can spin it. He's obviously a future Hall of Famer, and it's a big challenge. And we still got to disguise. We're not going to trick him that much. We're going to still have to make plays, but we got to make it harder for him as possible.
And how about a guy like Puka Nacua, who's really come on so strong and been such an incredible weapon for them out of nowhere, it felt like, his rookie year. So what stands out about the challenge of facing a wide receiver like him?
He's just sliding in that role with Cooper Kupp, and it's just, ever since McVay got there, it just had that receiver that you can line up all over the place, that he blocks, he goes through the line. It's going to be a challenge for us, and our corners are up for it.
What is the biggest challenge of having to now go play not only a Sunday night game, which that has its own challenges, but all the way on the West Coast, dealing with that time change and the long flights and all of that? What do you think about that as a coach, of how you prep your players for it, and just even what you remember as a player having to do things like that?
Well, that trip as a player, I always told myself I would never be a coach, because I remember it's daylight when you land, and those guys are going to the office, and we're going home to sleep the whole day.
Yep.
So I still remember walking by some of them guys, and they'll be sleeping first class. And as they're waking up, man, we heading to the office. And I said, I would never be a coach.
I'll never be a coach. And here you are and doing the trip as a coach.
Coaching. But I'm not looking forward to that. That's tough. But we got to adjust, got to work ahead a little bit. On the weekend when we finalize the game plan, we get a little few time, you peek at your next opponent.
What is your approach as a coach, because you did play, and the unique relationship you can have with the guys, and just how you think it kind of affects the type of coach you are, especially compared to maybe somebody else who didn't play at the NFL level?
Outside of football, if you're in my room, I mean, I invest in you big time. If I'm going to spend a lot of time away from my own kids, I got to give them something. And it's bigger than football.
They're your kids here.
Absolutely. And I just want to be a big brother, uncle, or even a father figure. I want to pass down much knowledge about this league and what you should do on the field and off the field. But I really invest in them. If they're in my room, I mean, we're family. We're family. And since my first year coaching, I'm still in contact with all my players. I've been to weddings, and I kind of play that father role. I encourage all of them to get married, save your money, and I encourage them whatever way I can, but I really invest in those guys, and I take that serious.
Well, you definitely do. I've seen it myself. So, Coach Foote, thank you so much for the time today. Thank you for the way you invest in our guys, and we just really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, that's going to do it for us on Buccaneers Total Access, brought to you by Advent Health. This is Buccaneers Radio.